Hi everyone, and happy Nurses Week. We are almost to the end, and I hope you're all having a great Nurses Week and getting all the appreciation you deserve. We can't thank you enough, and we are so lucky enough to experience and appreciate everything that you do all day, every day. We hear about it all day, like on our social platforms, and we talk to you personally all the time. So we just can't appreciate you enough. You guys are all heroes, and we can't think of a better community to celebrate and honor. If you missed any of our other Nurses Week and Nurses Week celebrations, head on over to thegypsynurse.com. This is our Nurses Week page. You just come to events on the homepage and Nurses Week. This has everything that we have going on this week. We have tomorrow. Everyone has been submitting their advice and when they registered for Nurses Week, so we're going to be putting some of those out there. And then on Wednesday, we'll be having trivia, so be sure to tune in at 5 p.m. Eastern. We will be asking 10 questions that range from medical to pop culture. Each winner of the question will win a $5 Amazon gift card, which means someone can win $50 in Amazon gift cards if they answer all the questions right and are the fastest. So we'd also like to thank Medical Edge Recruitment for being the sponsor of Nurses Week. Thank you guys so much. This is Marisa. She is a representative of Medical Edge, and we just wanted to thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks for having us as well. We would like to wish all the nurses out there happy Nurses Week. We're truly honored to be serving you guys out here. You guys are truly heroes. I wish you guys the best during this week, and you guys are doing such a great job.
Well, thank you. And Marisa will be here at the end of this session. She's going to talk a little bit more about Medical Edge recruitment, so be sure to stay till the end. So thank you so much for joining us. We will also be doing 2 giveaways during this session. One person will win a Gypsy Nurse surprise box or an Amazon gift card of equal value if you're trying to live that minimalist lifestyle. And then another person will win a Medical Edge recruitment backpack, bottle shaker, and $25 Amazon gift card. So all you have to do to win these prizes is to comment, ask questions in the comment section, and you'll be entered to win. So I would like to now bring on our next guest. She has been a nurse for over 17 years. She has been a travel nurse for 5 years, and she's never had a bad assignment. She is a Daisy Award winner, and she is an amazing, lovely person. Please welcome Laura. Hi, Laura.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Forgive my voice. I told you earlier, I've got terrible bronchitis from the allergies. It is not COVID. Although when I cough, people really do give me the stink eye. And if you've ever seen that movie Monsters, Inc., where the monster comes back from a child's room with a sock on the back of them and they jump on them, that's kind of what I feel like every time I cough. It's terrible.
Well, we hope you feel better. If you want, you can just tell everybody a little bit about yourself. I know it is in the description of the website, so if you just want to give us like a quick rundown of who you are.
Sure. So my name's Laura Rogers. I have been a nurse May. Well, actually, I just hit 17 years. I'm actually what I call a late bloomer. I knew I wanted to be a nurse in the 8th grade, but I ended up getting married young and having children and raising those kids and being a stay-at-home mom. But my plan had been to go back to school when the baby went to kindergarten. I ended up going through a divorce about that time and ended up going back to school and becoming a nurse. And it was important to show my children, especially my girls, that just because life doesn't work out like you thought it did or like you thought it would, that doesn't mean you can't fulfill what you want to fulfill and your goals, and to also be able to always be able to take care of yourself. So I went to nursing school, graduated. I was class president. Then I started work at a very small hospital in Birmingham. Well, not super small, but an affiliate of UAB Hospital. in the ICU. I worked there for 7 years in the ICU. I started out on night shift and got promoted up to day shift and made charge nurse. Then I decided to leave that, went over to pre-op PACU and have done that for the last ever how many years now. Did that a couple of years there where I was at and transferred to another hospital. Same thing. And then I got the travel nurse bug. It came back around. I had heard about travel nursing because when I was in ICU on night shift, there was a travel nurse there. She would work 6 months in Alaska and then come back to Alabama and work 6 months. And it just sounded amazing, but I was raising kids and it just wasn't worth it to me to leave my children.
Yeah.
So I thought about it, pursued it a little bit, and then kind of decided not to. And then it just kind of came back again. And I was thinking about it and thinking about it. And I started praying about it because for me, that's important. And I realized that I was coming home. My children were growing up and they were having their own lives, working. They had all graduated high school. So they all were kind of doing what they were supposed to do. And I was just coming home sitting there doing a whole lot of nothing. And I thought, if I really want to do this, now's the time to start looking into doing it. And I wrote 2 pages of questions that were important to me to be a travel nurse. And I remember calling several companies and wanting to try to ask them those questions. And the response I kept getting after maybe 2 questions was, well, just fill out the application, we'll call you.
Mm-hmm.
And that bothered me because I thought, I have a full-time job. I don't need you, but you need me. And so for my company, I ended up calling just a cold call. They transferred me to Karina. She's ham now, but it was Shell Pepper. And I tell people all the time, Karina, if you've ever talked to her, she has a voice like hot chocolate. It is just the sweetest voice. It is just the most soothing voice. It is just the whole time you're talking to her, it's like you're getting a hug the whole time.
Oh, that's nice.
And she answered every single question on my list, and I never filled out the application. She was on the phone for me an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
And she is the one who sold that company to me.
Oh,
and it was once she answered all those questions, I decided, yeah, this is really something I want to do. And I did.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, that is a great, I'm glad that you could find somebody and that you didn't give up. And I think that's a great takeaway, is just not giving up, especially with travel nursing and everything like that. So
it is. And there's so many companies out there. But I go back to the travel companies could not survive without the travel nurses. And by and large, travel nurses have a job that they are leaving to go traveling.
mm-hmm.
So it is a humongous, for a lot of people, especially for me, it was a huge step outside of my comfort zone to leave something that is familiar,
Mm-hmm.
that I know I have a job. I know that I have somewhere to go every, 3 days a week. I know I have benefits, and to step out on faith. And I just felt like this is my time. You need to make me comfortable so that I can choose your company. And you need to tell me why your company is the one I should go with. And the fact that you couldn't talk to me, not only did you lose my business then, you lost my business forever.
Yeah.
Because I still have those 2 pages of questions. I still have the companies that I wrote down that wouldn't talk to me. And they will be companies that I would never work with. And they're probably companies that you guys have worked with and you maybe love them. But for me, that was a deal killer for me.
Gotcha. Well, what would you say? What would you give your best advice for those people that want to take that leap of faith, but they're still kind of nervous? What would you tell them, to get them going?
So, my go-to whenever I have to make a tough decision or a decision that I'm having a hard time making is I'm a visual. So I write down a pro-con sheet. I write down questions that I have that I want to ask a company that are important to me. Because what's important to me, you have to understand, may not be important to someone else. I say I'm a late bloomer. I mean, I graduated nursing school when I was 34. So most of the people that age have already been a nurse for at least 10 years, at least.
Yeah.
So you write down those questions that are important to you. Then you want to think about I see a lot of times, how much notice should I give? And I think that because you are in a career, and I didn't say a job, I said a career. If you had a job, such as, and I'm not knocking a job over a career, but when you go to school and you invest your time and your money into obtaining a degree, that is a career. So when you give a notice, to me, I feel like it should be longer than 2 weeks. Think about the time that it took for you to get trained in what you are currently doing and then you were let off orientation. I personally gave a 6-week notice. I wanted to give them plenty of time to find someone and plenty of time to perhaps get at least 3 weeks of orientation under that new nurse's belt, whether it was a new nurse or someone with experience. It's still learning a new position at a new facility.
Mm-hmm.
So, you'll hear that a 2 weeks notice. I feel like in this career that we are in, it should be longer than that. It should be 4 weeks. I think 6 weeks is lovely. The other reason for doing that is, let's say that you gave a 6-week notice, you left on very good terms, you worked out those full 6 weeks, you are not burning a bridge, because sometimes traveling is not for everyone. You want to be able to know that, if you leave and you totally hate it, that you left on good terms, and perhaps you can go back to that position, should you decide that this is not something you want to do. Have money saved up. You need to sock some money away if you can do it. And that's hard to do. But going out, finding a place to live, that gets expensive. And a lot of places, they want a deposit plus first months. And in Boston, I think my rent on a 1-bedroom apartment over on the east side was, I think back then, $1,700 a month, which was actually a really good deal.
Wow.
But I'm raising kids. I mean, who has that? Plus half of that was a deposit, then and half of that added to it for the deposit. The beauty of my company, though, was they paid for that up front for me. And I utilized that for every assignment, because they would go ahead and send a cashier's check, and then they would take that money back out of my check over a period of time. Back then, we were getting paid every 2 weeks. So I think they would take that money back over 6 weeks. But then they changed a few years later to weekly pay. And so it would come out like in 4 weeks or something. But that was still a huge burden. And my company, that, they did that for me, and I love that. Or they do it for their members. But do have a nest egg, do have a nest egg saved up. Be open to where you want to go. It may be someplace, if you've got your heart set on someplace, that it may not be available to you. Have a wide range of places that you want to go. Research where you want to go. And then when you get an assignment, buy a book if they make them. I would buy the travel books for every assignment, because I would look up everything there was to do in that area. And people often laughed at me and said that I ended up knowing their area more than they did. But, I've done some amazing things. And just make sure that you want to know that area as best as you can. Find things to do, because remember, you're on vacation. And that's how I felt, and that's how I feel that travel nursing is for me, is that I'm being paid to be on vacation. Yes, there are days I have to work. Pardon me. But essentially, I'm being paid to be on vacation. I'm not there, I'm there for a period of time. And I've been fortunate that there have only been 2 assignments that they didn't need me after those initial 13 weeks. And I was really sad about that, because I really wanted to stay, but they just didn't need me. Every other assignment I had, I extended. And, remember, you're going in there to fill a need. You're not going in there to reinvent the wheel. You're not going in there to get into the hospital politics or what is right or what is wrong with that facility. They don't want to hear you come in and tell them, well, the way I did it here, the way we did it there, or this would work better here. Don't offer that. They don't want to hear that. Now, if they ask you, hey, other places you've been, what did you guys do? Or how, that's totally different. But don't throw it out there. You will alienate people very quickly. So go in there. If they want to teach you something, in my assignment in Indio, right outside of Palm Springs, I was hired for PACU. I ended up doing their pre-op as well because they asked me. I was like, yeah, I know how to do it. And they said, well, would you mind? And I said, absolutely not. They did that. They had me work in their GI lab because when I was on assignment for a year at Martha's Vineyard, I did all the conscious sedation for the GI lab. So I went over there. And then they asked me about working in pre-admission testing because I speak Spanish, if I would do that. And it was when I was in pre-admission testing, I realized that things weren't going as fluid as they could. Brought it up to the nurse manager who happened to be brand new there. And me and another traveler ended up revamping their entire PAT system to make it more fluid. It flowed better. And so if you go to an assignment and let's say you're hired in at such as myself, they ask you, are you willing to go over here? And you feel comfortable in doing so, you feel safe in doing so, and I recommend that you do it because what you're doing is you're making yourself more marketable. You are adding to your resume. You are showing that you are willing to do what you need to do in order to help the facility out. And so they are going to look to you, especially if it's someplace you want to stay. Rather than hire another traveler in that they've got to retrain, they're going to look at you first. So be willing. I see a lot of people that say, well, I will never take an assignment because they use Meditech. Well, that's just silly. Meditech is antiquated. Yes. It is a DOS program. Yes. Is it a pain? Yes. There are other ones that are easier to use. Absolutely. However, again, you're making yourself more marketable. So when I was told I was going to take an assignment that I would use Epic. Never used it before. Okay, now I know it. Then I knew Meditech, but it had changed. But I took an assignment with Meditech. So that's on my list. I took an assignment with Cerner and McKesson. So I know all of them. That makes me more marketable. That opens up more possibilities for me to go to. Learning more opens up more possibilities for you to go to. So be willing to do that. Be willing to go places that you have never been before because you're going to learn. And then that's going to open up more doors for you to be able to go other places. But don't confuse that with taking an assignment or going someplace where you've never cared for a particular type of patient or equipment and putting yourself or your license in danger. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, that makes definitely sense. Lisa, she said, I feel the same. I've had recruiters talk to me like just another nurse looking for a job. I also keep a list. I'm very transparent about what I'm looking for. I sometimes travel to be in the area of friends and family or, yes, being paid to vacation. Keep an open mind, also seasoned, so a lot to offer, but not interested in politics. Exactly.
That's right. And the other thing is be open to where you want to go. You know, the beauty of my recruiter is, I got into travel nursing not for money. Yes, there are some places that you make more money than you do because I live in Alabama. So most every place you work makes more money than in Alabama. But I took some assignments and I barely made above what I made in Alabama. But I chose those assignments because that's what worked for me. I wanted that particular assignment because there was a need I needed for myself. So I always looked at the pay package. Sure, I knew what my bills were. You want to try and whittle down your bills as much as you can before you go traveling. But you want to look at those assignments. And with my recruiter, with Karina, because at first it was just Karina, and then I think it was like 2 years into it, we ended up adding Teresa to the team. So it's like Karina's there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Teresa's there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or it's vice versa. But Karina used to be a flight attendant, so she's been to a bunch of places. And she would say, you know what, this may not have ever come up on your radar that you wanted to go, but this place is amazing. You would love it. They have this, this, and this. I would look at the website and I would narrow down the places that interest me. But then I would also choose places that I had never been to before in my life. And I would look it up, because isn't that the whole point? Isn't that the whole point of traveling, is going to these places? And maybe it was this little town that you never thought about going to, but then look within maybe a 4 to 6 hour perimeter. Oh my gosh, that opens up Yellowstone or Yosemite or the Grand Canyon or Vegas. I mean, it opens up so many other possibilities of places that you can go. You know, I see a lot of people on Facebook will say, well, don't go to any HCA facilities. They're terrible. They're horrible. Well, that's not true. I've been to 3 HCA facilities. Now, none of them were in Florida. And from what I've heard, the ones in Florida seem to be the ones that perhaps are not the best. I don't know. I can't speak to that. However, the ones I've been to, I would go back in a second. I loved them and I loved the people. So it's unfair to say all HCAs are bad, because they're not. And people, every assignment I went to, they would ask me, well, what's your favorite assignment? And I know what they were doing. They were hoping to be my favorite assignment. I spent a year in Boston, and that was my first assignment. And that one will probably be the most special because it was my first. I was very nervous being a Southern girl going up to Boston. But they're enamored with the Southern accent, so don't worry about it. I went up to a cop one time and I was asked, and he had this look on his face like, oh my gosh, what does this girl want? But as soon as I opened my mouth, which I don't think I sound Southern at all, he lit up like a Christmas tree. And he's like, you're from the South. So yes, go up north and they will love you if you're from the South. But Boston will always be a little bit special because it was my first. And they were so good to me. Plus, that was the place that I flew my mother up and my daughter to take my mom to fulfill her dream of seeing the Macy's parade. So that's why that's a special place for me. I spent a year on Martha's Vineyard. I mean, how many people can say they got to live on Martha's Vineyard? I spent 3 months in Denver, and I was all over those Rockies. And I spent 3 months in Idaho and was on the hunt for that Idaho potato, like the Oscar Mayer wiener. They have a potato that travels the country. I spent 14 months in Indio, California, right outside of Palm Springs. I've been in Augusta, Augusta, Georgia. Loved it. Dublin, Georgia. Never knew that even existed. Loved it. I was in Dothan, Alabama. Loved it. So keep an open mind when it comes to places to go, because you just never know what's going to be just a little hidden gem. And the other thing that I want to tell travelers is, don't discuss how much money you make or what your benefits are, especially if it's somebody that is in the same company as you. It's never a good idea. And a lot of travelers will ask you about that. I will talk to you all day about my company, TNAA. Love them. But the reason I chose them, aside from the fact that Karina sounds like liquid hot chocolate when you talk to her, is their benefits. I needed health, and I needed medical, I needed dental, I needed life, I needed matching 401k, I needed accidental death and dismemberment, I needed critical care. I needed that. That was important to me. That may not be important to you, and that's fine. They have sick time. That's important to me because you never know when you're going to get sick. So my pay, if you were going to compare that to another TNAA travel nurse who's, let's say, 30 years younger than me, is going to be different because they may not want all of those benefits. So then I'm not going to necessarily know all that. And then I'm going to get all upset. So don't do it. Don't do it. Don't discuss it. It should never be discussed, even if you're a full-time employee. It's none of anyone's business what you make any more than what they make. And it just leads to a lot of nonsense. So don't do it. If you want to talk about the benefits of the company, absolutely. Because I'm always going to talk to you about that. And I'm always going to try and get you to come over to my team. But, I don't care how much money you make. That's your business. I don't know what your bills are. I don't care. That's your business. So, just be mindful of that. And be mindful that you are an ambassador for not only travel nursing, but nursing in general. And you are going to meet some people that are just not very nice. But I've never met anyone on my assignments who wasn't. Never.
Oh, good.
They have always been appreciative of the help that I'm giving them. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to ask them. And I want to get to know them. And, I see a lot of negativity about travel nursing, about people being ugly to the travel nurses. They're ugly to them because maybe they make more money than the staff nurse. Well, that's their demon. That's not yours. And so you don't need to engage in that. You just be you. Remember, you're only there for 13 weeks. You can do anything for 13 weeks. You don't have a dog in that fight. You're there to work. On your off time, you go and do whatever it is you want to do. And then no one says you have to stay there. So go. The other thing is, unless you are truly in a position where you are unsafe with your care that you're providing due to maybe understaffing, please honor your contract. You signed up for 13 weeks, and just try very hard to honor that contract, if you can. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I've never been in a situation where it's been horrible. So I can't say what I would do. I just say try and honor the contract if you can. And then just have fun. Don't be afraid to go out to dinner by yourself. Don't be afraid to go to the movies by yourself. The beauty of travel nursing and going someplace that you've never been is you can go explore that area, and there's nobody telling you that you have to stay there for X amount of time, that it's time to leave, that they don't want to eat at that restaurant, that they're ready to go home. But you don't have to worry about any of that. There's so much beauty out there to be found. And that is what's so wonderful about what we do, is to be able to go out there and find it. So go learn the difference, that there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. And you can be alone and never be lonely. And I think we all need to learn that. So if you find yourself being lonely, and I'll tell you, the first assignment, it was tough the first week or so. Then I kind of found my groove. But reach out, especially on here, to other people who maybe are in that same area or who have been to that area, and ask them, where's a place to go? What's something to do? Because you will have the time of your life, I promise you. And you will start leaving places and you will be devastated. There's not been a place I have left yet that I have not cried my eyes out when I left. And I think, and it makes me teary now, but I think, why am I putting myself through this? Because I love it. And I love the people and the lives that you get to touch during a very short window of time. And the lives that touch you, it's worth it. So the bigger question is, why haven't you started travel nursing yet?
That's a great question. Well, that is all of our time. You filled us with amazing advice. I hope all of you guys take it and run with it. She knows a thing or two. She hasn't had a bad assignment, like she said, and she's been a Daisy Award winner. So she definitely.
And if you have questions, ask me.
Yes,
send me a message. I will be glad to talk to you.
Yes, yes, definitely. And, we can, if you have any questions, just put it in the comments. We'll send it over to her way. But thank you so much, Laura, for joining us. We hope you feel better with your bronchitis, and
Oh, yeah.
hopefully all of us can get through this allergy season.
Yeah.
Well,
I appreciate you asking me to do this. This was a lot of fun. I
you.
was nervous I wasn't gonna have anything to say, but I realized that I don't think you really had much time to even ask anything. I feel kind of good about that.
That's good. No, you had all great advice, and I hope someone learns from it. Multiple people do. So thank you so much. We'll let you get back to your day. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye, guys.
Bye. All right. Well, we're going to bring on Marisa so she can talk a little bit about medical edge recruitment. Also, it's your girl Reg. If you're still watching, please email marketing@thegypsynurse.com. I can't find a way to contact you, so if you could reach out to us, that would be great. We would really appreciate it. All right, so let's bring on Marisa. Thank you so much, Marisa, in Medical Edge Recruitment for sponsoring this event all week long. So I'll let you take a moment to talk about Medical Edge.
Well, thank you very much for having us here. Once again, I would like to thank all of the nurses out there and happy Nurses Week to you guys. So, as she said, we are from Medical Edge. So, we're a recruitment company, a staffing agency. We staff all throughout the United States, and we basically staff in long-term care, acute care, rehab, um, subacute. So there are quite a few areas we do staff in out there. And we have a great referral package out there for our nurses. So if you refer somebody, if you're working with us and you refer somebody, you'll also be able to make a little extra money as well. For our travelers out there, we do offer some great packages. So if you guys are interested, you can call with us. And once again, thank you guys very much for having us on here.
Yes, thank you. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Be sure to go to thegypsynurse.com, see our upcoming events. We have 2 more days of Nurses Week, even though we're really sad to see it end. We're just going to keep celebrating all year long anyways. So be sure to check that out. So thank you all, and we'll see you